Make sure this is working. And yes, we're recording, Pete. Hi.
On your new Zoom. Come on in. Yeah, we are, but we decided that it was okay. It was like,
we like background
It was very
noise.
NPR.
What do you brought him a coffee?
Was that, a box of stuff? Oh, really?
You got a coffee in a random box.
From Jack Torres Chocolate. Do you want some chocolate? Would you open it? Yeah,
You know what I think that is?
The prize for opening it will be chocolate.
Okay, this is really bad.
Yeah.
This is really bad, surprise.
I do want to look at it, but I will give it away.
That's from me.
It is? Really?
But it's supposed to arrive after the podcast as like a thank you for doing the podcast. Here's some chocolates. Cindy, you totally fucked up the timing. No, I'm totally joking.
I'm going to insist that you open it because I am going to...
Those are my favorite chocolate chip cookies in the world.
You know what? Do this. Let's close the door. After the podcast, I'll find you and I'll take some chocolate. But most of it you can eat.
Do you want it in here still? Or?
No. Take it and I'll find you. Thank you. # chocolate. That's very nice of you. Why are you so nice?
Well, it's a Canadian thing. Well,
it is a Canadian
You're
thing.
Nice. You're doing this thing. You didn't have to say.
I'm a nice American. I know Canada's an America, but you know what I'm saying. A United States American. But yeah, no, I like to be nice. But I don't give my podcast guests gifts.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why. I think it's like I don't.
It's very nice.
Well, I don't know if I'm doing it. I think I'm doing it to say thank you, but I also don't know if subtly deep in my subconscious I'm trying to ingratiate the guest towards some like higher aim 5 years from now when I shoulder tap you for some favor and you're like, he's the guy that sent me the cookies, so yes, I'll do this random thing for him. And I don't know. I always sort of second guess my own niceness.
Well, I don't think you should. I took LSD recently, and my deep epiphany was that being nice is nice. Meaning, of course, there's ulterior motives to everything. Being nice is, of course, and I'll keep this brief because everybody who's ever had a long car ride where the radio didn't work has already thought about this. Like, why are we nice? There is a pack reason to be nice. You're nice so the clan doesn't kick you out. So you get food, so you get love, so you get shelter, so you're included. So is there real niceness? It's one of the more boring ethical questions to me. So my epiphany was like, it doesn't matter. Even if you're being nice for like insincere reasons, it's still nice to be nice. Of all the things you can do. You know what I'm saying?
When you did LSD, did you try to focus on a specific conundrum or problem?
No.
Or were you just like letting it take you where like I've
Not
never
that
done
time.
it? I'm curious.
You said an intention. Usually it's something very vague. Like I want to feel the source of the universe, or I want love. It's usually something very self-serving.
Was that your first time, or is that?
That time was my first time, I think.
Oh wow, you did LSD recently for the first time.
Well, yeah, it was on my 40th birthday, so that wasn't that long. In March
On
of
the
this
actual birthday.
year. Yeah, my actual.
I turned
40th
40 in September.
and you missed your chance.
So we're this September.
Oh,
yeah,
this September.
We're both 79.
You could do LSD. No, I want to be very clear. I'm not like a big pusher of psychedelics, but for me, they've been very, very helpful. We'll get into it with the books.
Yeah.
But LSD, in my experience, I've done it since then, even though I did a small dose. But anyway, I'm trying to tell you that I'm not a huge drug person as I tell you that I've done drugs twice, LSD twice, since I've turned 40. But once was only a half dose and once was a dose. And a dose is pretty small when you consider that Ram Dass, my hero, which is one of the books we're going to be talking about today, used to take 10 times what I took as a my birthday dose was about 150 micrograms, and he would take 1,000 micrograms and like go in the ocean and like fucking touch the face of eternity. And I'm not that person. I like to think I'm sort of an intermediary between the really, really far out people that I love. These are my heroes. Like Ram Dass is my hero.
Yeah, his blurbs on the back of Comedy Sex God. It says, a marvelous and heartfelt story about the journey from role to soul.
Yeah,
Ram Dass, author of Be Here Now.
That's his whole thing. Yeah, I know that was a dream come true. Just that. I really liked getting blurbs.
Yeah,
I like seeing who, like your thing about being nice. Like who's gonna. It's an opportunity to like give and receive. I love writing blurbs.
Yeah.
And I loved getting blurbs.
I'm in that exact same process, like literally right now. I got a big rejection yesterday and I got a big yes yesterday. I got my third grade teacher yesterday, who I'm amazingly still in touch with, who wrote like what I was like in the classroom as a child and like what I'm like now he's teaching me. It was so touching.
That's really nice.
And it's someone that no one's heard of, but it meant a lot to me.
See, that sort of goes back to my epiphany about being nice is nice, is that like sometimes in those states, whether they're chemically induced or otherwise, we all go into them from time to time. You just kind of will go like, why aren't we giving each other what we know everybody wants? I sometimes talk about this on stage as a stand-up. It's really weird. Like, that's a great shirt. Like, why don't I just tell you that that's a great shirt? It's weird. I guess it's like we're afraid that the currency of love will mean less if we do it all the time.
Well,
so we withhold it to increase its value. Like the diamond market. Like we hold our love in thinking that when I dole it out at the end of the interview and I go like, that was a great interview or something, like it'll mean more. But like it's so we're all wanting the same stuff.
Well,
and it's nice to give it.
I'm so there with you, and I totally agree. And it's also like, I also am mistaken sometimes for hitting on people.
That's another thing.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Another consideration.
When I was, so now, as you know, I'm 30. I'm 39. I'm turning 40. But when I was like 21, I was working in downtown Toronto for the first time, my first ever office job, and I met a nice guy on the train, like sitting across from me is like the commuter train in and out of Toronto, and turns out he was running publicity for the biggest theater company in Toronto. So he invites me to go see The Lion King. So I go on my lunch break to watch like the opening scene of The Lion King with him. The follow up, of course, is him inviting me to hang out with him for the weekend at his pool. And he's like 30 years older than me, and it's a guy. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was dating this man. I went on a first date with him to The Lion King.
You didn't know it.
I didn't know. I thought I was just being nice.
Hey, Hakuna Matata. But I get it. And this is the struggle, and this is covered in all of the books that I picked for this podcast, basically, is the battle between head and heart, right? So Ram Dass talks about the heart wants to give away the store. The heart, if you ask it, can't just step over a homeless person sleeping on the subway floor because that's your mother or it's your brother or it's your sister. It's you, basically.
It's part of humanity.
But it's more than part of humanity. It's you. There's no separation, is what these people would be saying. It's one thing playing multiple parts. It's what Jesus was saying when he says, what you do for the least of these, you do for me. I used to think that was a way of Jesus guilting us into doing nice things for people. But I think he was saying something far trippier than that, which is he's saying like, don't think you're kind of traveling through this world. You are this world. You're like it's like it's all underwater. It's like one thing. So that's you.
But what do you mean that's you? You mean that's you?
I don't mean
spiritually,
I don't mean
molecularly.
it's you, Neil.
Yeah.
I mean we're playing with the idea, and it's a little bit deep for the beginning of a podcast.
No,
but you're playing with the idea that we're all sort of using one consciousness, right? So the basic to really break down spirituality and basic woo-woo hippy-dippy fun is that there was one consciousness, and we call that God or the mystery or whatever. It's the mystery of isness, and then that split, almost like playing a game or a dance or a play, or The Lion King. It's just playing a lot of different parts. So at the end of it, we'll all sort of like realize that like, oh, this one was a villain, this one was my girlfriend, this one was my mother, this one was Neil, this one was Pete. But it was really just a game. Yeah. But game sounds too trivial. It's more like, I like dance. That's why my daughter's name is Leela. It means the play or the dance of the universe. That's what we're doing. So when you kind of start to wake up to unitive consciousness or collective consciousness or Christ consciousness, you kind of, your heart can really get in touch with that place where it's like, that's the best way to say it is that's your brother or your sister on the ground of the subway.
Therefore, you can't walk over.
The heart says don't walk over them, but the head says, this is the battle. We see this in many movies. There's a lot of road trip movies where one character is the heart and one character is the head.
Oh.
A lot of video games. I don't know if you're a gamer. I was playing God of War. No,
but I did hear your Mario and Luigi impressions from Mario Kart, which I thought were spot on.
In my special?
In your special.
Yes, it's me, Mario.
It's me. That was great.
I don't know if there's a head heart.
Ow. You just missed that part, the where he falls off the...
Oh, I don't remember that.
When he falls off like the side of a cliff, he's like, ow.
That's the newer games.
I'm talking Mario Kart, original Super Nintendo.
Oh, Mario Kart. You say Mario. Are you Jewish? Do you say robot? I thought you're from Canada. You're from Long Island? What's going on here? Anyway, in God of War, there's a character, the dad character is head, and he protects them. And he says, like, that's an enemy. We need to kill him. And the boy is like, how do we know? He's the heart. He's like, that's not our enemy. Maybe that's a friend. This is every story. Like any movie you watch, usually there's a head person and there's a heart person.
Huh.
It's over and over and over. We reheat this topic.
Does it feel weird?
Because it's the conflict that we're all going
Yeah.
through.
I love that you go, like, the thing that hit me the most, Pete, honestly, after reading your book and, of course, the 3 books that we're going to talk about that are most formative to you is that, you know, you never let go of the question that hits every person at some age, usually a very young age. My 5-year-old is asking me now, it's like, Daddy, what else is out like past the stars? What else is there? I'm like, oh, it goes forever and it's expanding. He's like, but what was it before? I explained the Big Bang. You know, he's like, so the Big Bang started with what? And I'm like, it was the size of a thimble. Like, you know, but now I'm starting to venture into territory I don't know. And he's like, but what was before that? What's it aside that? And suddenly 3 questions in, he's lost. Like, I'm out. I've struck out. I've tapped out. I'm like, bam, I don't know what was before the Big Bang or what's outside the universe or what's below the universe or what the universe is. Fuck, I'm screwed. And the question is, how long do you hold on to those bigger questions? The what is this question? And for me, I remember thinking throughout my life, those questions always hit me, but I let them, like, they slip away.
Right.
Because not many people are willing to engage or talk. Like, it's hard to engage.
It's overwhelming. I think I'm trying to show in the book that I wrote, not the books, well, and also the books, but what I'm trying to show in the book that I wrote is that it's okay. You won't lose your zip code if you continue to participate with those questions. I think we get frustrated. It's like sometimes did you listen to Serial?
Oh, a couple episodes of it.
Okay.
I was one of the few people that didn't go all the way.
I get it,
bit
actually, because I found it very frustrating because you realize that you're dealing with an event that happened 15 years ago. You're dealing with a lot of conjecture, and you're basically dealing with this really horrible itch that, like, you'll never know. You'll never really know what happened. And I spend most of my time listening to crime podcasts like that going like, God, I just wish someone would tell me what happened. And you know you're going to just have to deal with the uncertainty, and that can be very unpleasant. So one of the points of my book is the uncertainty is the brain wants certainty, but the heart is actually quite comfortable with mystery. And I'm trying to offer that as a perspective, that the church has been turned into certainty worship. But really, religion and spirituality as a whole was supposed to be a way to play with and participate with perpetual unknowing. And so it's funny that you say, like, I started telling my son about the Big Bang and the singularity and everything being in the size of a thimble. We have to remember, I'm not saying that's not true. I am saying those are theories. It's a theory.
Of course.
We have evidence for those things. We're still, measuring the radiation from the Big Bang. And that's kind of, I didn't even know that 10 years ago, that the Big Bang wasn't just an idea, but we're measuring.
We just got a picture of a black hole. That's new.
Right, exactly.
But that's like, and that's like, that was like a thing.
But I'm not even saying this to put down science. I'm trying to say this to put us all in the same boat, meaning we're all dogs, as I say in the book, we're dogs trying to understand the internet. And we're all on the same side. So the people that are measuring the radiation from the Big Bang and the people that are trying to still get some juice out of, like, these really old tribal ideas, that the Earth is one of the earliest ideas. Russell Brand told me this when he did my podcast, of the universe, like thousands and thousands of years old, is a snake eating itself, is the Ouroboros, right? And that is what the universe is. It is life feeding off of life. You know what I mean? Like, we start to see that, like, as complicated and as beautiful and sophisticated and beneficial our theories of the universe can be, when we go all the way back, ancient Egypt and other cultures, they had some fundamental sense of isness, churning and undulating into itself. That's what a snake eating itself is. That's what God, when people say God is love, that's like very mushy and nice. Oh, God is love. He loves me. Love is yes. Like, one of the ways to think of love is yes. So God is yes. And we can agree on that. Science and you and I, and we can take God out of it. We can say the mystery is yes. The mystery is being. And we don't have to debate that. There is a force, a thing. I hate the word force. There's a thing, there's a that wants to be. And we are that. And it's happening. And you see it with grass growing, and you see it with me eating an apple, and the apple was alive, and life, that's in the Joseph Campbell book that we're going to talk about. Life feeds off of life. That's one of the first things we need to sort of mythologize and come to terms with, because that's what's going on here. Death makes way for life. Life makes way for death. Death makes way. That's a snake eating itself.
Yeah.
And then behind that, we can go like, okay, at some point it was all one thing. That's also something that we mythologized. What I told you at the beginning was it was all one consciousness, and it split into many. That's the story. That's as old as the Bible. It's like, they don't put it in those terms exactly, but there's one thing and it breaks into a million things, right? That's more Hinduism. But That's what we're talking about with the singularity. So the mystic
How do you
says
define singularity? What is that? Your definition of that word?
everything in one little point.
Okay.
Everything in one little
Yeah.
point.
Well, because I also hear it as defining, that Ray Kurzweil,
Not that.
the singularity, meaning that
Yeah.
the artificial intelligence. That's not what you were talking about.
No. I think
Every-
Kurzweil is really interesting because he wants to give everything an intelligence. And the mystic would say everything already has an intelligence. And I see this in my plants that bend towards the light. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
You see it when you have kids. I'm watching a pulse, an intelligence. Like I don't want to sound anti-rational. I love rationality is what gave my baby vaccines. It's what gave me directions. It's what my car was.
Built your clothing.
It made this coffee. We're on the 8th floor of a building. Like it's beautiful. It's the same side. We're all after the same thing. But the mystic is trying to feel it. That's the big point. One of the big points I tried to make in the book is that the scientist is trying to photograph it and the mystic is trying to feel it. But it's the same stuff. I think science is gorgeous. These are people that are actively trying to figure out what's going on here. And the mystic is trying to do it by going inside.
Yeah.
Because you are it.
Well, reminds me of the Neil deGrasse Tyson quote. I'm sure you've heard is that like he says it's a fantastic little YouTube clip, but he's like, "You are stars. You are stars.
Right.
The atoms and molecules in your body came from the Big Bang, which were in the stars.
That's right.
Not only do you look at the stars and see beauty, you are that."
Right. That's totally good. I love that. To me, it's one click to the left of where I like to hang out. To say that what I'm made of is what everything is made of, to me is just it's so close. It's one click to the left of where I want to hang out, which is my awareness, my beingness is the same beingness as everything. That's mysticism.
Can you, I love this one click to the left scale that either you just invented or referred to. Can you just describe that for me? Like, where do you think we are living today? Are you also one click to the right of
You mean most people?
Yeah. Where are we? Because you are living, Pete, in this world of unknowing and discomfort and playing with these huge questions, and it's so fucking beautiful, and I love it, and it's in your books, and it's a great transition into your first one right now. But I'm like, you're living in it. It's a beautiful place to live, and of course, I can see your comedy and your writing and all this coming from there. Describe that little dial that you just shared with me. Can you just articulate it a bit because you're so good at translating stuff?
Well, I don't know. I did just make it up. I was just trying to say it was very, very close.
Did you use the word left on purpose?
Well, I just saw it. Just if you turned it to the right.
It wasn't like left wing, right? It wasn't nothing like that.
Oh, no. It's not a scale. It was
Yeah.
a circle.
Yeah. Okay.
That knob keeps going around, and it really doesn't ultimately matter where you are on that because you are where you are, and regardless of how you think about where you are. But I like to think... So Ram Dass uses the dial. Now that I think about it, I might have been subconsciously leaning on him a little bit, as I often am. He talks about most people, live on the personality, the individual level, and then you go one click further, you get into like the psychological level. Then you go one click further and you get into like the soul level, like I'm in a soul. Then you go one click further.
Like I'm in a soul, my body's a vehicle for that soul?
Yeah, basically.
That's what you're talking about, yeah.
Basically. I can't really do his click thing from memory. But there are different, it's like Radiohead, the band Radiohead.
Mm-hmm.
We're all on a different station of the radio. Like it's how you're looking at the world. And I actually find the way that you look in the world makes a huge difference on how you experience the world. When I was a Christian, I looked at the world as a waiting room, as a test.
Yeah.
It was something that God was somewhere else watching me, like an alien ant farm, two bands. But you're watching an ant farm, and he's sort of judging what I'm doing, how many times I jerk off, how many times I say motherfucker, how many people in the subway I step over, all this sort of stuff, so that later, then eternity will begin, and it'll either be a good one or a bad one. Sometimes when I think about whether or not I'm like jerking off too much, I don't worry about that anymore, but if I had been, if you just zoom out Neil deGrasse Tyson style into the known universe and consider the tiny speck of all of this that we know that's worried about whether or not it's jerking off too much, it's really laughable.
Yeah.
I think zooming out is a really powerful thing. But like zooming out what? Like I think it is this. I like I said, I look at the world a little bit more like we're underwater. I used to think that God loved me. Now I think that this is God's love. We are in the yes, the undulating, perpetual, infinite fountain. So Alan Watts says, you're not born into the world, you're born out of the world. Like an apple growing off of a tree. You
explain that to me. You're not born into the world.
Think about it. Your son didn't come into the world like he was somewhere else. He came out of the world. Similar to what Neil deGrasse Tyson is saying.
Yeah.
It's all the same ingredients being shuffled and rearranged. It's like ballet. There's no new moves. So he wasn't somewhere else in a holding room like pre-soul heaven and then zapped here.
Yeah, no stork was involved.
This is it. No celestial stork. This is it. This is just like a churning, lawful, sometimes horrible, sometimes beautiful, often both at the same time play, not an experiment, not some deranged killer surveillance system, as Nadia Bolz-Weber says, God watching and judging and hating. But this is God. If you think about it that way.
So then, I know when you say, when I was Christian, I thought this was a waiting room. So now you're not. And so, how you describe yourself today, and then what, is there any other rooms?
Other rooms? Waiting rooms?
Yeah, no, do you go anywhere after this? Where do you,
I don't
when you
really
say God is this, and this is it, like, is it this is it? Or is it like, we're born and reborn and reborn? Or
I'm open to infinite possibilities. I tend to think that you sort of get what you expect, or you get what you think you're going to get, because it's you that's playing. So I think you get anything, infinite possibilities. That's really something that's pretty trippy to think about.
Yeah.
That you could, like, when I talked to Penn Jillette, who's obviously an atheist, he was like, I'm open to infinite possibilities. He's like, I just don't believe in God. Like, I don't believe in a God. Like, I am an atheist. I don't believe in God, but I believe in infinite possibilities. And he's like, that's what I see all of us soaking in, is an infinite and impossibly complicated world. So it's like, I'm not saying I'm not going to wake up when I die and be in literal pearly gates or literal flames. He's like, it could happen. And I'm sort of in that camp where, like, anything could happen. Reincarnation is, it's not really that interesting to me. Ram Dass and Alan Watts and all these guys are very quick to be like, look, if you do go to some afterlife, it's the same game in a different place. Can you be here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're getting your butt licked by some swan on a cloud while you eat creme brulee. Okay, can you detach, and can you wake up to who you really are, which is the fundamental force that could build any reality? That's what it is. Your game in heaven to these people, and I happen to agree with them, in heaven would be, can you wake up from paradise? You know what I'm saying?
No, I got lost.
It's not about getting your sense desires filled. I used to think that you go to heaven and you get the swan tickling your butthole and you'd eat the creme brulee. But to me, the game now has so much more to do with waking up to who you really are. And who you really are is fundamental isness, is being. And it doesn't matter what is surrounding you or happening to you. It's about using whatever's surrounding you and whatever's happening to you to wake up and to realize who you actually are, which is none of it and all of it. Do you want to smoke some weed? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, well,
I used to, like, play it out. If we want to go with the traditional Christian model, you die and you go to heaven and you're there for eternity. And then that's it? Like, you just, what? Like, that's what I happen to think is going on here, is that, like, the game of infinite orgasms doesn't work. It just becomes your normal. So that's what we're doing here. We're in the salty, sweet conundrum because we want to be, because we want doubt, we want confusion,
challenge,
we want mystery, we want pain.
Yeah.
And if you don't even believe that, I see that in my mother. I say that to her all the time. She complains about my dad and I go, you love it. You love it, or you'd leave. You fucking love it. I used to try and solve her problems. Now I just go like, stop it. You love it. You go on the same vacation every year and you complain about it. You fucking love it. Don't even, and she laughs. Because it's true.
Yeah.
We're here to do that. When we put on emo music and just like, it's hard. I want to stay out of the big pain, the big suffering. It's out of my pay grade.
Wait, we like horror movies. Like that, to me, that's
what we're doing.
That's a bizarre thing that we like horror movies.
Dude, we're scaring ourselves. When we watch movies, that's a big thing in my book too, is like, there's something going on when we're watching a movie and we're scared and we love it, or we're tense. We watch Breaking Bad and we're tense. That is how I want to view the world. I'm doing this interview with you, but I don't want to be lost in it. I want to remember that I'm on the couch. And when I say I mean soul. These are just words. It's not exactly right. But there's another part of me that's, as Deepak Chopra would say, non-local. I'm here, but I don't buy it. As Buddha would say, this is all on fire. This is just a passing show.
How do you live in that amazing sense of perspective and awareness, like when you are experiencing, and I know, and you've talked openly about this, the canceling of a show or a fight with a loved one, or you can't get your kid to sleep and it's 3 a.m. and they're crying. Are you able to get back to that place so quickly and easily and say, this is joy, this is love, this is it? I love. No, you fucking you did that thing about shaking the baby and you're special. It's hilarious, right? Like I can totally relate to that. We also have a 9-month-old right now, and but how
Our baby's 9 months old.
Pardon?
My baby's 9.
At least 9
months.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Oh,
yeah.
Well, anyway, we don't have to gush about.
You know why I
babies.
wanted to do the shake the baby joke? Because I knew every parent, once their baby's like a month old, 2 months old, I don't remember when it stops. Like your baby gets so much more reasonable, and your brain just like deletes ever having been that frustrated. Like I don't even remember ever.
Well, this is why people have more kids. Because they forgot.
Oh yeah, but that's biological. It's in the mother's brain, particularly, it deletes the memory of the pain. Your brain can't conjure up pain anyway. Like it can't ever fully remember pain. That's just a phenomenon of the brain. But specifically, the pain of childbirth, that's to keep us going. But I did that joke knowing my baby was like 4 weeks old when I taped that special. I did that joke for the people with the new baby.
The joke being, and I'm going to just say for the listeners who don't know, they say you don't want to shake the baby, but you're going to want to shake the baby.
Yeah, that's what they don't tell you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
sorry, I shouldn't have done that in your presence.
That's fine.
You're a bit.
I think you did a great job. It goes back to love, right? It goes back to saying yes to whatever's happening, So like when I'm doing press for the book and I wake up, and you have to wake up at 6 or something. It's still dark when you wake up, and you just did a day of press, and now you're doing another day of press. I understand that there could be, a workout or a smoothie or something that you do practically. To me, the most beneficial thing is saying yes to what is, and that's the most. It's resistance.
You use that you share that phrase. You wake up and you say,
yeah, I say yes.
Yes,
first thing. Yeah, and I did that this morning.
Out loud?
My baby
Like you wake,
my
open
wife,
your eyes.
My
and you're
wife
like,
knows
yes.
I'm weird. I'll say it quietly because she'll sometimes be sleeping. My wife sleeps with the monitor. Our baby usually sleeps through the night, but there's something thin about sleep with a monitor, and it's on her side of the bed. So then I'll get up around 6 and I'll hang out with the baby. Now it's a pretty good routine. It's 6 to 8, and then she naps, and then I'll nap when she's napping. So it's not that bad. But somebody's got to get up for that first 2-hour hang. It is a hang. I just laughed at my own language. But, you don't want to do it sometimes. But this is straight Buddhism, is like so much of our pain comes from a story, and the story is something that we're writing about how things should be. And while I know you can, and there's absolutely nothing wrong, I do go on hikes. I do eat very, very specific stuff, mood elevating stuff. If you want to go
about your drink, you make yourself and the baby a bottle.
Yes, yes, that's true. But I make a smoothie that's Kachava is one of our sponsors, but that's one of the ingredients in like a multi-level, I call it the NFA. It's the not fucking around smoothie. And
is that what that is right there?
That's what that is.
What's in that?
I mean, how long do you have?
It's that many things.
It's got a lot of.
Well, I'm in the smoothie business game. I make one every morning. I'm just curious.
You're in the game.
I'm in the game. 11 years straight, I've had a smoothie for breakfast.
Oh, really?
It's very difficult in hotels, but I'm like, I'm like water, ice, turmeric, cinnamon.
Those are great.
Yeah, chia, hemp, maybe some bee pollen, some protein powder, a little bit of some blueberry, some banana.
Wow.
Some yogurt. I'll go with some athletic greens. There's type of like a green type of powder of some kind. That's kind of like my thing.
That's great.
But tell me what
strong smoothie.
What am I missing? Strong.
Cinnamon is a deep cut. That's some of the longest living people in the world ate a lot of cinnamon. That's like a very good longevity.
They say you got to grind your own too. So I ground a gigantic batch of it, and it's really sweet smelling.
Oh wow!
Because the stuff from the store has been just sitting there forever.
Oh, is that right?
You got to grind your own cinnamon, Pete. If you take one thing away from today,
Yeah.
grind your own goddamn cinnamon.
Yeah, it's funny. Maybe this is more on topic. Is when I drink my smoothie or my green juice in the morning, my cheers to myself is it won't save you, and that's really important. Like there's this thing that I disagree with. Like I love Tony Robbins and Tim and all those guys and Rich. Like there's something really important to do while you're doing that, to not get lost in that, is that you are on fire. I know I already said that. You're on fire. That's Buddhism. You're on fire. Like it
Open
won't
that up
save
for
you.
me.
You're on fire. It's broken. You know the Buddhist meditation, there's these glass cups in front of us, these glasses. You say the glass is already broken. Today it's not. You're already dead. You're gone. And not in a sad way, in the liberating way. Don't get too caught. I'm not saying you are. I'm saying you and I are at risk.
No, I might be, because I
going
have
like-
that same personality of like, I want to buy the solution.
Yeah.
This is what is up with the solution orientation. Like we want the hack or the 30.
Yeah.
Every single thing that you click on the internet, at the bottom of any website, it has like 7 boxes to try to get you to click more things. They're all solutions, and it's so hard not to click them.
Well,
30-second
this goes
abs,
back
7
to like
minutes to this.
the spiritual thing for me as well. Is this great mystic named Muji said, I believe it was him. He said, given the choice between the destination and the journey, the ego will always choose the journey. Because especially with the spiritual pursuit, right? Is that if I'm saying that you are it, that's why I'm like, being stardust isn't enough. You are a piece of the consciousness of I amness. So it sounds very new agey, but when Moses asked God in the Old Testament what his name is, God says, my name is I am, right? He says his name is I am. And that was just our first metaphor for the quality of being. I amness. That's what God is. This is God, amness.
Period.
But it's also what's looking at your eyes right now. The problem is, so many of us would like to go, it's in the next book, it's in the next seminar, it's in the next teacher, it's in the next practice. Pete, can you tell me a mantra? Ram Dass, can you tell me a breathing practice? All these things. You're there. It's it. I say this on almost every interview I do. It's St. Francis quote. He says, what you're looking for, so we're looking for God. What you're looking for is what you're looking with. The thing that's doing the looking is isness. And you are never separate from isness. This is what all of spirituality is saying. That's why there's all these stories. You're the beggar sitting on the box, asking for change. And then one day you finally look in the box and it's filled with gold. You had never looked. You were sitting on a box of gold.
He who seeks the most often cannot find, something like that.
He who seeks the most almost cannot find.
The reason you can't find is because you're seeking. Like it's.
Well, I do think there's something. Well, you're touching on it. It's like there's a perpetual. Our egos and our minds delight in the search for the thing. So anyway, so the thing that I disagree with on Tony Robbins, and I love Tony Robbins, and if I know he's kind of in hot water right now, I don't really know the details of that. So forgive me if I'm endorsing somebody that we're not into right now. But he has this thought that he's like. He calls them armchair moments or rocking chair moments. And he's like, I love to go like hand gliding over the Gulf of Mexico because they're rocking chair moments. When I'm old, I'm going to be sitting in my rocking chair and I'm going to be thinking back and remembering hand gliding over the Gulf of Mexico. And I would say this respectfully if I ever got the chance to interview him, as I would say, like, I don't agree with that. That's not Buddhist. It's like the idea... I've done a million amazing things. I've had a very exceptional life. And there is a feeling of satisfaction that I enjoy from having made my dreams come true or whatever. But what I get the most juice out of is a expansiveness and a spaciousness in my consciousness and a connection, a non-circumstantial happiness that comes from a connection to fundamental awareness. That's the best thing going.
Yeah.
Because when you're dying... When you kneel or in a hospital bed, 80, 90% of us, I think it's like 85% of us die in hospital beds.
Yeah.
When you're in a hospital bed, I don't think you're going to go, remember Six Flags? I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Most of us are living as if we're going to go, remember Six Flags? I fucking reject that as hard as I can because it doesn't add up to me.
Where do you come out on the 15,000 photo camera rolls that we're all walking around with in our pocket? The idea that like we're insanely passionate about capturing
Well, that's
everything we're doing for what purpose?
That is the, it's interesting. I used to think that like our parents didn't have these phones, but they did. We have them manifested in material. What the phone is the manifestation, the materialization of a mental problem that all of us had. So when my dad was staring into space or something, thinking about some job instead of being at dinner with us, that was him looking at his phone. He just had it in his head. What makes phones more annoying is that we can all see when you're thinking about something else, But it's an age-old problem. It was a problem that existed in the time of Christ and the time of Buddha. It's always been with us. The idea that you're being robbed from the moment, either anticipating the future or replaying the past. And that is also one of the cornerstones of spirituality. Now we see it with the phones, but we've always had it. But yeah, I mean, again, it seems kind of like a obvious thing. We're going to need another life just to look at the photos that we're taking. And we don't look at the photos we're taking.
Never mind print them out or put them in, it's like they just
Even
go.
Even if you do.
What's the cloud? Put them in the cloud.
But for what? That's one of my favorite.
I would take that cell phone analogy you just made, though, and I would say the fact that it is so visual. There's so much research now. Adam Alter wrote a great book called Irresistible. He talks about like the baseline, like it's dopamine inducing versus serotonin and oxytocin. Like there's stuff happening with the phones that our parents' generation didn't have to deal with in terms of scratching at our. Is that just like a giant air conditioner turned on or something?
Oh, there it goes.
Oh, it turned off. Like I'm more worried about the phones than you are, I think. Like I tell my wife to hide it on Friday nights from me because I'm so addicted to it.
Yeah.
No,
of course I do. Everybody that gets out of Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, all these people that break out of those companies always give these talks that do not go viral where they say, trust me, don't use our product. Don't use it. And I if you want a Tim Ferriss life hack, I do put my phone on black and white. I find that very beneficial.
Yeah, I do the same.
It doesn't work
thing.
for me.
Yeah. Can we go into your books?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Do you have any preference on the order?
No.
Okay. Well, I'll just tell the listener like a 30-second overview, and then I'll turn it over to you to tell us about your relationship, how it came into your life. You can see all the notes I've got on this one. So, first book, Pete, is The Power of Myth. By Joseph Campbell with Bill Moyers. It is, of course, the transcript of a 6-hour PBS miniseries that aired as an interview in the late 1980s. Joseph Campbell lived from 1904 to, I believe, 1988, and this was shot at Skywalker Ranch in 85, 86. So I guess very, very close to the end of his life. According to the back, The Power of Myth launched an extraordinary resurgence of interest in Joseph Campbell and his work. A preeminent scholar, writer, and teacher, he has had a profound influence on millions of people. To him, mythology was the song of the universe, the music of the spheres. With Bill Moyers, one of America's most prominent journalists, as his thoughtful and engaging interviewer, The Power of Myth touches on subjects from modern marriage to virgin births, from Jesus to John Lennon, offering a brilliant combination of intelligence and wit. It is a black book with gold and green writing and a picture, I think, of like a dragon. You might know more about that kaleidoscopy type photo at the front.
Yeah, something very trippy.
Something very trippy. So, Pete, tell us about your relationship.
If I had to guess, it's probably like whenever Val and I go to the botanical gardens, there's this part that's a Chinese garden, and there's these two dragons that are guarding the entrance. And I always think of Joseph Campbell, and I'm like, those are the dragons that are guarding enlightenment, basically. Well, and they're the dragons of like the self that you have to slay before you can go in. So that might be that. That's just a guess.
In preparation for this interview, I actually looked up that thing, and it has a very specific name, and I can't find my note on what it was called, so I'll have to put that in the show notes at the end. But tell us about your relationship with The Power of Myth by Joseph Campbell with Pete. With Bill Moyers, not Pete.
Pete Moyers.
Pete would be you.
That's me. There's a lot of Petes. I'm a real proselytizer, meaning if I love something, I give it to a lot of people. And I think I've given The Power of Myth to, I don't know, realistically, maybe 10, 15 people. So my Amazon address book is very, very large. And it's with the books that you have. Actually, two of them. I don't give Be Here Now to most people because we'll get to that. It's a little bit more esoteric. But The Power of Myth is not esoteric.
No. I was sucked into this thing. It was
It's
amazing.
the best. This is the order I would go in. If you've lost your faith, which I think is a great choice. I know that's kind of weird to say as a spiritual person.
Oh, you don't have one to begin with.
What's that?
Or
Or if
if
you don't have one.
yeah.
Yeah, and you kind of want to know what the buzz is about, just as a human being. I'm just curious in that way. I want to know what everybody's into. Why are you guys into that? What's the deal with being Mormon? Like, tell me what what juice are you getting out of that? But if you want to kind of understand the backbone of what I would argue is most, I'd actually be so bold as to say all spiritual traditions. The power of myth is a dream. It's an intellectual. It's pretty dry. It's not, meaning it's not cute. It's not precocious. There's no like, see, God is cool. There's no agenda. It's an academic. He was a professor at Sarah Lawrence College, although he did a lot of the research that ended up being the backbone of the mythology work in his life when he was unemployed. I believe he was living in the woods. It sounds like a myth in itself. He retreated to the woods, classic hero's journey, where he lived, I believe it was for at least 4 years, unemployed, eating like cheese sandwiches and reading books. So he is a mythic. Joseph Campbell is a hero, and he's a mythic figure, and it's a great story. But it's literally true. It's one of my favorite quotes, by the way. Richard Rohr said, "Myth is always true and sometimes really happened." And that's really important, especially when you start getting into the idea that the Bible is a myth. People used to say, this is in my book, by the way, people used to say the Bible is a myth, and I'd get very mad. Literally, my heart rate would elevate because they were attacking something that was fundamentally super close to me, very intimate to me, very important to me, way closer than politics.
How old were you?
This would have been in high school.
Yeah.
I remember my best friend's dad called the Bible a myth, and like I didn't see red, but I got very tense, like very like, how could you say that? I didn't say anything because I'm a very non-confrontational person, especially back then. But now I kind of understand what he's saying. Myth doesn't mean not true. It means so much bigger than the categories of true and not true. So, and myth are stories told with metaphors, and this is something that I break down in my book as well. I have a new example though that I've been enjoying, which is that like we all believe in myths, but we don't really know it. Like, for example, when a flight is delayed, you'll see that people tweet at Delta. This is like a modern day phenomenon. People will go like, "Fuck you, Delta. You always do this, Delta. Like, Delta, I'm a medallion member. How dare you do this to me?" So we believe in Delta. So the analogy is thousands of planes, fleets of planes, buildings, thousands of buildings, tens of thousands of employees is like one thing we call Delta. The metaphor is all of those things are one thing called Delta. Delta is a metaphor.
Yeah.
It's one thing called Delta. And
yeah.
we believe
Corporations.
and we believe in it.
Yeah.
We believe in Delta.
Yeah.
Delta always does this. You can rely on Delta. Delta is good.
It's even made more complex with the fact that we're actually starting to use human names for things more often. The Siri phenomenon, Alexa.
Yeah,
we're starting
absolutely.
to personify our technology and our.
It's the natural progression.
product.
That's very smart. That's very true. Now it's Alexa. I say that all the time. I'm like, Alexa sometimes stops playing music. Alexa is an algorithm and an amalgamation of thousands of different things that I call one thing.
A metaphor.
It's a metaphor. And so is God. And
that's a boom right there. That sentence. And so is God.
So is
Period.
God.
Full like that. You were about to plow right through that.
yeah.
But
But that's important. It doesn't mean that God isn't real. So Campbell's definition, which again is in my book, but it's also in The Power of Myth, he says God is a metaphor for a mystery that absolutely transcends all categories of human thought, including being and non-being. So he's basically just saying it's an ineffable mystery that's bigger than even the language and the thinking systems that we
can't
operate.
fathom it.
It's unfathomable. Terence McKenna says the world isn't stranger than we suppose, it's stranger than we can suppose. And if you've taken psychedelics and come back from a trip like that, you've had an experience in ineffability and you just go like, I can't. Like you just go like, I don't know what to say to you. When I was there, it was very real and very important, but I can't bring it back. It dries up. Like I say, it's like a wet stone that you carry back to your beach blanket, and by the time you get there, it's just a boring old rock. That's what happens when we try and explain. And how else would you have your infinity?
Yeah.
Easily discussable, But that's what we want.
How else would you have your infinity?
But that we want
That's
an
the best
infinity that
question
we
I've
can
ever heard.
that we can talk about for 40 minutes on Sunday.
Well, all we know is how to
and
talk.
move on.
Like we don't have any other language itself. This is why it's so great that my wife has a book on her shelf that's like phrases in other languages and what that would mean in English. But it's a phrase we don't have.
Right.
Like pole in Swahili means I'm so sorry for you. So when someone trips on the sidewalk and they fall and they scuff their nose, you say, oh, pole. We don't have a word for that.
Yeah.
We're like, shit, you fell.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We don't have an I'm sorry for you. And that's just language. Never mind what you're talking about, which is like the entire thing that we're in right now.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a good place to start, is we all know the complexities of our inner worlds and how dried up and incomplete it can be to yank them into whatever language you're fluent in. We know that. I think it's one of the reasons why we kind of walk around a little bit humdrum, is because I said this again on Russell Brand when he did my podcast. We were talking about how sad it is to push everything we're feeling through the filter of language. There's a heaviness.
You just described the entire like Hallmark business model, right? Like it exists because we can't even articulate the things. And this is the closest thing.
Right.
It's
And
not
that's
even
sad.
that good.
And it's sad, yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad that we're kind of feel alone in here, and we do the best we can by saying, I'm alone in here, or I love you. It's very frustrating. It's not the most interesting topic to me, but it's good to mention that language fails even us. It fails our inner worlds. Of course it's going to fail something as big as the fundamental source of all things. So Campbell starts by saying that God is a metaphor, and we use metaphors to talk about God. And when you get into mystic Christians or mystic Hindus or mystic Buddhists or any of these people, you start to see that they are at peace with the idea that this is another Richard Rohr quote, he goes, the only language we have to speak of God is metaphor. And that's not to say that God is irrational. It's to say that God is transrational, is the word. It's beyond the categories of rational or irrational. That's why you mentioned virgin birth is on the back of that book.
Yeah.
It's not about whether or not a teenage girl was actually a virgin when she had a baby. That's not what it's about. I mean, it could be. That's fun to play with. It's a hint. It's saying spirituality, fundamental truth, isn't going to please your rational brain. It's not going to be, it's not available for Amazon Prime. It's like a virgin birth. And if you can't deal with that,
that's key. It's like
I suppose, but it's like, fuck off. If you can't sit in between virgin and pregnant, you have no shot at the big picture. It's like fully man, fully God. It's like dead but alive. It's third way thinking is what they
The other
call
example Joseph Campbell uses in The Power of Myth is Jesus ascending to heaven. He said, now, the fields of astronomy have shown us that there is, above the clouds, there isn't a place. But what the metaphor is that he
inward.
went somewhere else. Exactly. Right. He went inward to somewhere that you can't fathom.
Right. Or he woke up to his interconnectedness. That's what Richard Rohr would say, is he died as Jesus and rose as the Christ. We tell the story of him coming back because our small selves love the idea of somebody not dying, right? That pleases us. But really, it's the idea of waking up to me, it's the idea of waking up to there's nowhere to go.
When did you get the book? How did it come into your life? What did it do for you before and after? What's the pre-book, post-book?
Remember how I heard of it. Somebody must have, oh yeah, it is in the book. Matt Ruby, this comedian, emailed me. So it's funny that, the squeaky wheel gets the grease sort of thing. I start doing a podcast. I start talking about my problems with my faith, which is a fun phase to go through and really tear it all down and set it on fire and shake your fists at what you thought were the heavens. And then somebody emails me and he's like, hey, I was like you. Have you heard of Joseph Campbell? And then I bought The Power of Myth on DVD. It's now on Netflix, I believe.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. And
because this is the transcript of the PBS special. You're talking about the PBS special.
Yeah, it's a PBS special. So that's where I started. I watched it first, and that's really great. I don't love all of it. It's like you said, it's 6 hours. I really found myself loving the parts about Christianity because that's my tradition. So then I got
were you
the
Christian
book.
when you read it, or when you walked?
No,
into
when
that,
I found it,
you already were in the searching. This isn't.
No, I wasn't searching. I was done with it. My wife had left, and I was basically somewhere between an atheist and an agnostic, but I wasn't thinking about it.
Okay.
And then when I found this, it lit me up with the potential that maybe there was some juice in the stories that I had been told.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Well, I this book, I thought it was A Man with a Thousand Faces. I told you when I cracked it open, I was like, oh, this is the hero's journey. And then it basically was like a podcast,
Yeah.
but 20, 30 years ago.
Right. Well, that's what I like about it, is The Hero with a Thousand Faces is very, very dense. It's like a very academic book. It's a book that I read 2 pages at a time. Like you take a break. It's like you need a nap after 2 pages. It's just very, very thick. It's his master work. And it's not my favorite book. I don't even really like it. It's okay. It's fine. I mean, it's way more than okay. It's okay for me. For what I'm looking for to like read, it's not great for me. It's a little bit out of my pay grade, maybe. This is the more pedestrian, everyman, 2 people talking, oral history. Can I just explain it to you like I would explain it to one of my students? That really unlocks it.
And his ability to like
way.
reference all these things is just amazing.
Yeah, and it has an index. So if you're curious about, like, if you want to look up, like
Chief
me,
Seattle letter. That's the part that
yeah,
stuck
that
me.
part's awesome.
Yeah.
Or the Jesus parts, because I was trying to reconcile my Christian faith, so I would read all the Jesus parts, and every time he talked about Christ, it was just blowing my mind. And then the Buddha parts, and then those are the parts that really got to me. And the Native American parts are very interesting. But then, I mean, it's not just the power of myth. I got into a lot of Joseph Campbell talks. There's a lot of his lectures that you can watch.
And he's really swerved in. Like, I mean, his this was done at the Skywalker Ranch after George Lucas famously said, after the success of Star Wars, he's like, "Hey, everyone, it was this dude's stuff that I kind of modeled Star Wars after."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Who's the guy you're talking about?" They're like, "He's like that guy over there, Joseph Campbell. He gets super famous. They become friends. This is shot at his ranch. Like it's the class. You're in Hollywood. We're in Hollywood right now." I mean, his mythology stuff is sewn so deeply into the plot lines of
Right.
the work that's coming out of this place. Is
Right.
it, it's
But it would be if we knew it or not. That's what I think is interesting about Joseph Campbell, is if we all died, except for a handful of children, and then they just reproduced, in 1,000 years, there'd be another Jesus story, or there'd be another hero story, after language. And I'm assuming we can't wait for language or writing, but if we had those things, there would be, and we erased all the hero stories, there'd be it's in our biology, it's in our physiology, it's in the collective unconsciousness. It's who we are.
Well, why do you say that?
It's how we dream. It's in our DNA. This is how we tell stories.
Period. Full stop. For someone like me coming into this stuff for the first time, it's just the way it is.
I'm saying there's a pulse underneath the fundamentals of being human that are expressed in myth, and that's what myths are.
Yeah.
When we dream, we have personal myths, and the myths that we write are the dreams of the whole of your people.
Yeah.
It's the collective myth.
Yeah. He talks a lot about dreams in this book, and even at one point, he recommends, keeping a notebook. Pardon? Oh, yeah. Do you have to go or?
I was told an hour, but where are we?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We'll keep wrapping things up.
Thanks.
Sorry, I didn't know that. They didn't tell me that. Let's go through the next couple books. Then
Oh,
quickly.
sure.
Yeah.
It's not a hard hour, but they told me an hour, which is good for me.
I'm so sorry. I didn't know that, but I will try to move things along. So the second book is she did that perfectly well. It was like a very gentle knock, a polite hello, and like timing's good. Timing's good
for a living.
And I'm like, oh fuck, I'm going over time, aren't I? Thank you.
That's what a publicist is. We just figured
We
out.
just experienced that. That was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Super, super, super friendly and get shit done. That's a hard combination.
Yes.
Sorry, Pete. I'm like a little discombobulated because I don't want to disrespect your time, and I'm sorry I just didn't know that.
Not at all.
So, Love Wins, your second book by Rob Bell, a book about heaven, hell, and the fate of every person who ever lived. God loves us. God offers us everlasting love by grace, freely, through no merit on our part. Unless you do not respond the right way, then God will torture you forever in hell. Huh?
Is that what it says?
That's what it says in the back.
Yeah.
Rob Bell is the founding pastor of the Mars Hill Bible Church in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He is the author of the best-selling Velvet Elvis, Sex God, Jesus Wants to Save Christians and Drop Like Stars, a graduate of Wheaton College in Wheaton, Illinois, and Fuller Theological Seminary in Pasadena, California. Bell speaks to large crowds, and this book sort of sounds like a speech, around the world and has appeared in a pioneering series of short films.
That's so funny. That's so old. Rob is one of my dearest friends, and that is so old, Rob.
Oh, that's interesting because this, yeah,
like Rob would never tell you he went to Wheaton College. Rob would never tell you that he went to seminary. Rob would never tell you that he tours or like the days of him. In fact, this was helpful to me when I did press for my book, was the days when people would say like, who are you to write this book? And he would get that all the time.
Yeah.
Because if you're writing a book that says we've been thinking about
Yeah.
heaven and hell wrong, people want to know, who do you think you are? To unseat these sort of long-held principles. And he would answer like that. He would be like, well, I got my master's of divinity, this, that, and the other. And now he would say, which is what I would say, which is, I have the same right as you have to ask these questions.
You know, that's so interesting because, so this book's 2011 for Harper, and the picture on the back, to your same point, Pete, is he's wearing like a black vest and a white dress shirt on stage with like a Madonna mic. Like it clearly is showing him on a pedestal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
it
like,
was a cooler Rob.
but to that point about confidence with bios, it's like, you know, I was reading your bio in the back of your book, and I was reading it just as my publisher emailed me and said like, hey, what do you want the bio of the back of your book be? Here's what we wrote, and it's like 1,000-word gigantic thing of everything I've ever written and done, you know, trumpeted to its highest volume. And I wrote back and I said, you know, I think I'm at the place now where I just want to say, Neil Pasricha thinks, writes, and speaks about intentional living.
I love that.
That's what the bio is going to say in the back. And they're like, okay, we'll do that, but we want the big, long fucking thing on the inside cut. Like, we want that somewhere inside. So people that are like, well, tell me more can still dig it up. But now the back is just going to say that one sentence. To the good or bad. Look, the book that sold the most copies in the last 2 years in this country is called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Right, 9 million copies, Mark Manson. And all the bio says is, Mark Manson's a superstar blogger with 2 million readers. He's from Boston. Like, it just literally says something so pithy, but that also is showing that, like, we're in this place now where you don't have to be someone to do something artistically.
Yeah.
And maybe we're just looking a little bit more cynically at those who are kind of like flashing the resume to start things off.
Yeah, I hear that. I think that's sort of, the internet has had that quality too. We all have a voice. We don't need to know all your special things. But especially with spiritual things, I think that's a big message of my book is like, your being here is your ticket to the show and it's your invitation to the conversation. And a lot of these things and the ideas in the book were derived from being quiet, not necessarily from going to divinity school or whatever. Nobody ever asked me though. That's the great thing about being a comedian is like, nobody was ever like, who the fuck do you think you are talking about these things? So I was like, I'm telling you who I am. I'm telling you what happened. I'm even telling you what I read. Like, we're doing this podcast, but the book itself is like, then I found Joseph Campbell. It doesn't have the Rob Bell thing, which is why I'm glad we're talking about it now. But then it does go into great lengths of telling you about how I found Ram Dass and what specifically I found.
You say the internet's had this flattening effect, and everyone I would totally agree. At the same time, we still need in this giant global village of now 7.5 billion friends that we have access to like quickly translate and sort and filter because we have so much stuff. So the bio is just, you know, that's just one metaphor for it. But really, it's like we now more than ever need a way to like figure out who Rob Bell is really quickly. Because we're walking by an Amazon bookstore that's 200 million books for sale.
Right.
Trying to find. The reason I'm even doing this podcast, Pete, is because I'm trying to find the 1,000 most formative books in the world.
Yeah.
It's a 15-year podcast, 3 books at a time. Because there's no other way for me to find them.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I understand.
A million books come
it's
out
how
a year.
we all feel going on Netflix. You're like,
Yeah. Oh my God.
Could you just tell me what to watch, please?
Oh
I
my
want
God.
the AI. I want like a sexy lady robot to be like, hi, Pete, what are you in the mood for? And I can be like, well, something kind of mindless. I've had a busy day. How about an action thing? Not action. And I want to talk to it. And I hope that's where we're going.
Maybe like up to 1 minute of nudity.
Well, she's definitely something like a bikini, something titillating, but not too titillating. But when people ask me to recommend a book to them, if they're interested in sort of the type of thinking or whatever you want to call it that I'm into, I ask them where they're at. I say, tell me about your past. And if they say I used to be a Christian or I still am a Christian, I always tell them to read Love Wins. So I just gave Love Wins to a friend of mine, Taylor Tomlinson, who's a comedian. And I didn't even have to ask. If somebody is a comedian and they have to deal with having a lot of non-Christian friends and have a critical mind, which means they're always breaking things down like comedians do, then they've thought about the idea that if you're a Christian, and this is not all Christians, by the way. Franciscans have lapped us a million times. They never believe this. There are lots of different Christians that never believe this. But a lot of evangelicals and like me, non-denominationals, believe that if you died in the Holocaust, you also went to hell. So just if you want to go for the jugular and make somebody really uncomfortable, be like, if you believe that somebody doesn't believe in Jesus and profess Jesus as their savior, they go to hell. That means you went from the gas chambers to hell. And that's just like a fucking terrible thing to hold in your heart.
Well, it's like the thing in the news right now, but the woman in Alabama getting arrested for being shot while pregnant.
Wow.
Do you know about that story? She shot while pregnant. The fetus died. She lived.
Oh, wow.
She was arrested for that. It became a national headline, and then they dropped the charges. But it was like, I thought pretty insane kind of thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I suppose that is similar. It's just a horrible thing. And I held that around in my heart. 15 years ago, if we did this interview, I'd be quietly thinking that you were going to hell. It's a fucked up way to live. It's a shitty way to live. And I would go around trying to turn people into me. And that sucks. That sucks. And I don't think that's what's going on here. So if people are still burdened, and I use that word very deliberately, if you're burdened because you had a beautiful, gorgeous, earnest desire to commune with something that we call God, to commune with eternal truth, because you have a sense that something big is going on here and mysterious and wonderful is happening, and that earnest drive to connect with that thing got sidecarred with a lot of beliefs that you never wanted, but your only way to commune with it was through the system that also sold you these things that you didn't want alongside with them. They clinged on to your own fear and your own prejudice and your own hate, your own small-mindedness. And then before you knew it, it just sort of became part of you, but you feel kind of heavy. I would say read Love Wins.
The 15-year-old that dies in a car accident is the opening of the book. A 15-year-old dies in a car accident, and then at the funeral they say, well, was he a Christian? And the mother says, he
was an atheist.
Just became an atheist. And then the guy says,
then
so there's no hope.
Yeah. This is that, and that's what Rob's voice is so clear in my head. He's like, that's the gospel, no hope. That's what we're doing. He also tells the story of somebody putting a Post-it note on a painting of Gandhi at a Christian art show that said, "Don't kid yourself, Gandhi's in hell." I was like, is that what we're doing here? The ego loves to divide us, them, in, out. We've lost it. We've lost the story. Religion has become about membership rather than a transformation that transcends in and out, us and them. And that's really what's quite sad.
You're an incredibly prolific comedian. The books you're talking about and the language you speak in is one of spirituality and transcendence and awareness and stuff. Can you tell me a little bit, Pete, about like where those things intersect? I mean, here you're a stand-up comic. Do you know what I'm saying? Coming at it from like an enlightened approach. Is that a natural thing? I don't have a lot of stand-up comedian friends. Like, is the way to be a stand-up comedian to get a perspective beyond kind of where people are at and then reflect it back to them so that they can laugh and,
maybe. I don't know. I don't run into a lot of people that think what I think that do stand-up. And I don't try to deliberately write, as you said, enlightened stand-up. But if you're only consuming this stuff, that's what's going to come out.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
You have that great bit about, see if you have to go pee.
Yeah.
And of course, you're like, who did that? How did that happen?
Right.
Anyway, we could go deeper and deeper here. I want to be really sensitive to your time, so I'm going to wrap it up really quick with your third and final book, which of course is Be Here Now by Ram Dass. I think I'm saying that wrong.
You are.
How do you say it properly?
Ram Dass.
Ram Dass. Okay.
Yeah, you got both wrong. You said it like rammed ass, which is a funny way to roast Ram Dass. If you want to say, what is this guy, rammed ass? Which I've seen online before. People make fun of him and call him rammed ass.
A big, gigantic, square, blue book full of different sized, shaped images. Starts with a biography of him and moves into what can probably only be described as I flip through it as
an acid trip.
An acid trip. That would be a great way to put it.
Yeah, if people want to know kind of what it feels like to go on a psychedelic journey, Be Here Now is a good example. It's broken
us
into
about
3
your
parts.
relationship,
One is a biography telling you who he is, how he discovered what he's about
Richard
to tell you.
Alper, famed Harvard professor,
Yep.
did the experiments with Timothy Leary,
Yep.
exited society as we know it.
Got kicked out of Harvard and then ended up going to. So this story is summarized in my book, but it's summarized a lot of places. There's a movie on Netflix called Dying to Know that summarizes this story quite well, and it talks about Tim Leary a lot as well. So he ended up doing all these experiments with psychedelics, felt that there was an unseen reality within this one. Because of those substances will give you a guaranteed spiritual experience. It's pretty crazy. Even if it doesn't seem spiritual at the time, I guarantee if you look back on it with a certain lens, you'll realize. Sometimes people say I took acid and all that happened was 30 clowns slapped me for an hour. And I'm like, it's not what you see. It's that you see what you're seeing with is a phenomenon that is playable with.
Malleable.
Yeah. It's not
reality is fungible. Or
that's right.
If that's the right
reality is not as much of a foregone
another word
conclusion
I probably mispronounced, but
as you want. I like how you said Ramdas. It was nice. But anyway, so the first part isn't my favorite part. It's not necessary because he covers that in a lot of his
Wikipedia.
lectures. Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's fine. I like the brown pages. And the brown pages are the illustrated trippy part. But I talk about this in Comedy Sex God is that the first time I read it, it did nothing for me. And then this is important. And there's a further reading section in my book that mentions this. But I listened to Ram Dass do a bunch of lectures called Experiments in Truth, which is on iTunes.
Yep.
And after I had heard him speak and got a sense of what he was about, I went back and read Be Here Now again. And now it's something that I read constantly. You talk about phone addictions. One of the things that I like to do with my phone is I have the iBooks thing open to Be Here Now. So if I'm at a urinal, right? We like to look at our phones when we're at urinals. But instead of just mindlessly checking comments or Twitter replies or whatever, I'll open Be Here Now.
This guy's at the urinal reading Be Here Now. It's amazing.
I mean, if that's what they're peeping, they're missing the big show down below. But yeah, I like to read that.
Take me more into the how this came to you. What this is a book. How did it get to you? What did it do for you?
Well,
how do people enter into this world? It's pretty. I tried to read this book and it was very hard for me to read it because of all the things you're saying.
Well, I would start with the lectures. I never recommend that people go to the book. In fact, I told Ram Dass at one point that I read his.
Your book's unreadable, man.
And I said I couldn't understand it, and he laughed so hard. Of course, he understands. What you're reading are the way that Be Here Now came about was he was giving talks. He had just come back from India, where he met his guru. And a guru is not a teacher. A guru is the way. A teacher shows the way. A guru is the embodiment of the way. So a way to understand that is Jesus was a guru. He is the way. Maharaji Ram Dass's guru, Buddha, Krishna, these things are the way. God, guru, and self are one. They are the thing. So Maharaji wasn't a great teacher. He didn't give lectures or something. He was just there. And there was no one there to know that he was there. He just was spacious, emptiness, freedom, and light. So that's basically who he hung out with. Then he came back. He had other teachers that taught him about Hinduism and Buddhism and stuff. And then Ram Dass came back and started giving these lectures. And
Apparently, you told me, or I read in your book, it's he was not supposed to. You say
he said, "Don't talk about
Comedy
me."
Sex God. You're yeah, don't talk about me.
And then he couldn't keep it to himself.
And jumps on the circuit.
He went on the circuit. And I wish I was alive in the 60s, early 70s, because to see these talks, I know some of the people that were at these early talks. So Ram Dass comes in with the big beard and the beads and basically wearing a dress. And he would give these talks sometimes all night. He'd just give a lecture at some college in Vermont and just talk all night. But these very new ideas, really kickstarting the 60s, the spiritual movement. And they would record them. And it had the tapes, and then somebody would see the tapes and say, "What are those?" It'd be like, "Oh, those are tapes of my lectures." Say, "Can I transcribe them for you?" So friends would listen to them and then kind of take the best parts and transcribe them. Then he'd be carrying around the transcriptions in the trunk of his car, go to another talk. Someone would see the transcriptions, say, "What are those?" Say, "Those are transcriptions of some of the best parts of my talks." Someone would say, "Can I illustrate those?" And I say, "Sure, you can illustrate them." And so the book just happened. He didn't sit down and hire illustrators. He didn't pay someone to transcribe it. It just sort of happened. That's why he says it's Maharaji's book. his guru made the book sort of happen.
Interesting. As a stand-up comic, all three of your books have been from oral to written.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, basically. They're from, and if especially Be Here Now, once you hear, like I said, Rob's voice is very much in my brain. That's helpful. I listened to Love Wins. I think that's a great audiobook. And when you listen to Ram Dass speak and then you read Be Here Now, you sort of know how he talks and you can sort of ingest that. So I definitely recommend starting with Experiments in Truth. But this is where soul consciousness, unitive consciousness, and that beautiful sort of groovy all-inclusiveness of all the traditions being sort of equal, which is where I hang out now, came from Ram Dass. Hi, that's okay.
Thanks for your time, Pete. I'm like, should we just cut out the second door that I opened? And I just like, I'm like, I don't want to. I have so many questions, but you've been so generous with where you've let us kind of wander in your mind and
That's my
see.
pleasure, man.
Well, it's just a beautiful place. I'm new to this world that you inhabit, and you, especially in your book, I found more than even the three that were most formative to you, because maybe of your comedy chops and your background on stages, explain stuff. You describe stuff, you translate stuff, you put it in a language that someone like me, who finds all three of these books quite intimidating, to be honest with you, to start with, can then be like, what a great path. Like, I love the hot air balloon story, and that gets me to the Ram Dass story. But after, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's the point. That's exactly right. That's a great compliment, Neil. I appreciate it. Because what I wanted to do was be like, this stuff, like those books, looking at the books that I picked on your table, they're all so weird. One's way too Christian, one's way too Eastern, and one's way too everything. So I wanted to be like, for me, with my book, part of the medium is the message, is that a comedian is talking about God and isn't embarrassed about talking about God, is supposed to be inviting all of us to feel more comfortable talking about God. Because for so many of us, when you say you believe in God, or you're interested in God, or you're interested in consciousness, so many times that means you're anti-gay, you believe that everyone who doesn't believe what you believe is going to hell, that you're rigid and afraid and combative about your beliefs. That's just nonsense. You can be free. One of the things I want to be very clear about in my book is I'm just offering things that made me feel free. And I don't want people to believe what I believe. I don't want people to become huge Ram Dass fans. It doesn't matter at all to me. I want people to be free. So I'm sharing in the book what helped me feel free and be free.
Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.